Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer, and today we'll discuss one of the most important parts of web marketing, driving targeted visitors to your site. I'm here with the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Glenn.
The best website in the world doesn't do anything without visitors. So what can our listeners do to drive traffic to their websites?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do to drive traffic, and what we're going to do in this podcast is basically give you an overview of what we think are 6 of the most important things to do to drive traffic. And what we'll do today is give you those 6 things and then touch on them briefly, and then we're going to come back with additional podcasts that will drill down into each of them. Let's start with the first one. The first one is organic search engines. The second one is paid advertising on search engines. Third is email campaigns. Fourth is word of mouth and referrals. The fifth is using other websites and other web-based content to drive traffic. And then the sixth is offline marketing to drive people into your website.
Let's start out with search engines. You mentioned organic and paid listings. What's the difference?
Well, this is a critical area for you to know. If you're going to be in web marketing, you've got to know the difference. And the best way to find out the difference is to go to a search engine like Google and do a search for something that's pretty popular, like, say, for example, search for wallets or search for music or something that's going to give you lots of results. The paid listings are the ads that appear that circle around the organic listings, which are usually found in the middle. And the paid ads then have been put there on purpose and paid for by advertisers.
So it's going to be the top 3 or whatever it is, the top 3, and it says sponsor links or
sponsored
something.
Links, and you'll see if you take a sharp eye and look at the differences between the results of a search, whether that search engine is MSN, Yahoo, or whatever it is, you'll see the difference between the paid advertising and the organic searches and results.
Well, when talking about the organic searches, what are a few important things that one should know?
Well, number one, it's important to know that there are really 3 search engines that dominate the marketplace: Yahoo, MSN, and Google. So when you think about getting your site listed, think about those 3 search engines. Even if you use a different one, probably 98% of the people use those 3. The most important thing about organic search is that you match what your website's about with the search that's being done on the search engine. And there's no tricks to the trade. There's no quick and easy fix to this. It's something that has to really happen organically. So what you want to think about is that you're going to go out and find what searches are being done online. And there are some tools to do that we'll talk about in a second. And then you want to match your content to the searches that you want into your website. There are some things that you can do to the site that are called search engine optimization techniques. Like, for example, your title tag should definitely have the key phrases you're targeting listed. But more importantly, your content should include those key phrases. It all has to be relevant to the terms that are being searched. Now, one of the tools, and probably the best tool on the web to understand what people search on, is found at a website called overture.com. And all of this is going to be on our resource page. But just for an overview, you can go to yahoo.com or to overture.com and click on the resources link. And on that resources link, you'll see a link that shows you what searches are being done online. And it's called the Search Term Suggestion Tool. There's another website called wordtracker.com whose main purpose is to track searches on the internet. And then keep in mind that for very competitive terms, it's going to be near impossible to get your site listed. So you want to find niche marketplaces within those organic searches. Content and popularity of your site on the internet is what's going to draw traffic, not any kind of trick or anything like that.
Okay, well, let's talk about the secrets of running a paid for placement or paid advertising program, and then tell me if they actually really work.
Well, they do work. They do work. They can be very successful. The key is to setting it up right, to focus on your budget, to focus on the kind of traffic you want to bring in, and to watch the ROI and the conversions. And all this can be set up. Once again, it's based on the keywords and what people are looking for, and the popularity and competitiveness of those terms on the internet. There's really only two websites in this area that are by far leaders, and that's Overture, which we just talked about, and Google. MSN is coming in, and within the next a year or two, I expect MSN to be a major player in paid listing programs. One of the most important things to do when you start your program is to capture your brand and key product searches. A lot of people make the mistake of throwing out too big a net and getting into areas that are too competitive or too expensive. But make sure when you set up a paid listing program that you go after your own brand and any unique products that you have that you want people to come into your site and see.
Let's talk about email here. There's so much spam out there, and when you try to do an effective email campaign to whether it be your customers or even prospects, how can somebody make that effective?
Well, it can be effective because here's the bottom line, and here's our rule of thumb. Important emails get saved and read, and emails that aren't important get deleted. So you have to have content and value in your email for your customers so that it's important and it'll get saved and it'll get read and people will take action on it. We see time after time with our client base that when we run an effective email program, they see more sales or they see more inquiries or more traffic. So it certainly can get results. If your email helps people solve problems, it enhances the quality of life, it gives them the information they're looking for, they'll take action on it. Now, one of the questions I hear a lot is how often should you email? We recommend 1 to 2 times a month. Really no more than weekly. That if you're going to go weekly, you need to have more of like a newsletter program with lots of value there. And also, we recommend that you go to a server-based email application and that you automate how emails are set up and you structure them. The biggest challenge for companies is finding someone to write content. So once you get over that, then you can automate email programs, run them off a server with a third-party software program, and email can be very effective if done correctly.
Now, what is a server-based system? Is that something like Constant Contact or
right? It's
Swift Mail.
Right. We'll have resources for you on our website, but you can go and you can read about how these programs work. They're just very effective and they're very inexpensive, and they're really the best way to go. You need to, if you're a small business, you should not be sending email from your local computer. There's lots of reasons not to do that.
So if it's something that's going out that may be an advertisement or a communication, a mass communication, send it via the server.
Absolutely. And it has to do with spam issues around people subscribing or unsubscribing, and issues around locking up your computer and causing problems with your own network. So,
well, tell us about the word of marketing that's happened, or word of mouth marketing.
Word of mouth marketing, right?
That's happening on the web now. How exactly does that work, and how does that result in visitors?
Well, you can almost put this first, really, because isn't so much of marketing really word of mouth? People love to tell others about things they like, and on the web, it's so easy to pass information around and to share that information with others. You need to promote and think about word of mouth marketing. One of the ways you do this is by having great content, great value on your website, and also make it easy for people to subscribe to your newsletters, and also for them to send links to other people that might be interested in reading this. Word of mouth, one of the best examples is you think of the summer movie season that we're in right now. The word of mouth literally makes or breaks a movie. A company can spend $100 million on advertising a movie, but in the first weekend, the word of mouth will either make it or break it. So it's the same on the web. What you want to do is just have the value there, just like a good movie has value, that will spread word of mouth and get more people into your website.
So going back to the email campaigns and sending out the mass emails and doing that, make sure you have a forward to a friend link at the bottom.
Forward to a friend and send to a friend on your website. All of those things help. But if you have a strategy that says, hey, our content's so good, people want to tell others about it, that right there is a good word of mouth program. You might even look at promotions and specials and discounts as well as a way to drive more targeted traffic to your site.
So how does someone get another website to promote their website?
Well, this is an interesting strategy. It can be very effective, especially if you are a content-based service provider, because there are so many websites out there looking for content, looking for information to fill their own newsletters and their own databases. So the first step is to research where your target market gathers. So if you have a clear understanding of who your target market is on the web, you got to be sure that they're hanging out on certain websites. And if you can go to those websites and do information exchanges or link exchanges, or simply just getting your content into those sites, then that's a great way to reach your targeted consumer. Like, for example, let's say you say you're a consultant and you want to go out and target people that do management consulting. Well, if you're looking for those corporations that are going to hire you, one of the best places to go is to websites that deal with, say, leadership content or how to manage people content, and submit your articles and your information. And those links then will come back to your website. And that's a good example of getting your content out on the web and promoting your website and your business through web-based content.
Now, would that also come down to things like bulletin boards? I know that there's some folks in some industries that bulletin boards are really, really popular to share information back and forth. It might not be specifically an advertising tool or an advertising avenue, but at the end of the post, you have your information, and as long as you've contributed great information to the bulletin or whatever threads that you happen to, or news groups that you happen to be responding to, would you say that would be a good use as well as being an expert, an online expert in whatever it may be? It could be in
widgets,
how to play blackjack or whatever.
Blackjack,
it doesn't matter what it is.
The key thing there is that is your target market on that community?
And if they are,
then yes, it would be worth your while to do that. If you're a management consultant, and there is a website called, let's say, managementconsulting.com, which is a resource for people looking for expertise in leadership and management, then you want to be one of the resource providers for that website. So do your research, make some contacts, and write good content that you can get distributed. And you could be a product vendor as well, or product supplier as well, and do this. Blogs and online communities, absolutely great as long as your target market's there. Okay.
Now, as far as traditional advertising or offline marketing, what are some ways that our listeners can drive traffic to the websites from offline methods?
Well, I know this may sound like one of those things that everyone's going to do, but people don't do this. And what you want to do is make sure your website address is on all your promotional materials. It needs to be an integrated marketing effort. And then it ties into the fact that you need to have a domain name that's easy to remember. It's better to have a longer domain name that's easy to remember than a short one that's cryptic. Okay, and then have a creative reason for people to visit the site, because what you're doing is you're leveraging your online brand through your offline marketing, because there's some reason for people to go there. Now, a simple reason might be to get a coupon or a discount, or to get content or information or savings, or other things. And maybe they're going to go look at a flash movie or other content. But it's all an integrated effort. And when you do your offline marketing, you need to include your web-based strategy in your offline marketing campaign so the two work together.
Tom, we end each podcast with an action item plan. So what key action items should the listeners be taking?
I think it's a good idea to do these action steps with the thought that we're going to get more into these subjects later. So this is almost your homework. So before you're ready to get deeper into these areas, do this homework. And homework number one is learn about search engines. You really need to understand the ins and outs of them. And you can get really good summary information by visiting just a few websites. And we have a complete resource list on our website. But go to google.com and just spend some time learning about being an advertiser with Google, or doing searches on Google just to learn more about optimization and how this all works. Then spend some time on overture.com, which is part of the Yahoo system, and go into their resource area and look at the search tool that they have there, and the paid listings tools that they have, and also take their tutorials. They have some really nice flash tutorials. Experiment with a paid listing program. Start small, have a very small budget, $50 a month or something, and look at just your brand initially, just to see if what traffic is coming in under your brand, or under local searches for you just in your area. Spend time becoming a keyword research specialist, basically understanding the trends and how people search for you. And you can do that once again with the search tool in Overture. Or if you really want to get into this, go to wordtracker.com and learn about how they analyze search traffic. It's really a beautiful way to understand your market on the web. Set up an email capture box on your website and start writing value-added emails. Start small. Even if you have a dozen people on the list, that's a starting point. And then look to link to other sites and get your content out on the web. Spread your content around so that what will happen is you'll drive more targeted traffic. And then really the bottom line is to go back, listen to this podcast again, write down those 6 areas if you didn't write them down, and learn about each 6, spend more time with them, and start developing a plan for driving traffic into your site. And then look back to us, because we're going to do podcasts that'll get into a lot of detail in the 6 areas of driving traffic to your website.
Well, folks, you have your homework, and this has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. So for more information, you want to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitivewebsites.com.